Young and restless Mariah returned home from a business trip with a haunting secret that could rip her marriage apart, and the twist ahead may lead to even more trouble. Weeks ago, Mariah came back from a work trip for Cassidy first and spilled the beans to Sharon that she'd done something horrible. So awful, in fact, that she and Sharon both fear her marriage to Tessa might not survive it. But as we all waited with bated breath for the story to break wide open, it disappeared from our screens completely. Perhaps the writers were waiting for Pride Month to find Mariah and Tessa, brush them off, and continue their story, because we can report that they're back at the end of this week. That said, the news is probably not good for Mariah fans, judging from the sneak peek pics. It's clear that Mariah hasn't moved on and is still stewing as she paces Sharon's place looking pained and pensive, presumably tortured by the guilt of whatever it is she's done. Might she be considering a confession? Thankfully, she gets some advice from her mother, though it looks as though Sharon might be taking a hard line and urging Mariah to fess up and face whatever it is she's hiding from her wife so they can work through it together. Mariah finds Tessa in the park, guitar in hand, and just to make any confession a million times harder. Rubbing it in so hard what she has to lose, her wife sings her a love song. Will Mariah be able to go through with a confession that could end such a beautiful union? It certainly looks like she's telling Tessa something unexpected and somewhat appalling. Who will Tessa turn to if she's just found out that Mariah cheated on her whilst away on business? Well, we won't have to look too far. Daniel's right there in the park, and as is wont to happen on soaps, it's likely that what begins as comfort could turn to something more between the two friends. Why would this particular hookup be so eyebrow-raising when this sort of thing happens all the time on soap operas? In a word, because the writers had Tessa state that she is gay. Years ago, she didn't say she was bisexual. So even though she's had a husband and dated Mariah's brother Noah, this would be a troubling twist on top of, well, a troubling twist. Whatever happens, we hope Mariah will weather the storm in the end. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, June 5, implies some bombshells on the horizon in Genoa City. Someone plots another's downfall, while a character receives troubling news and a promise is made. What's set to unravel during Thursday's show? Time to find out. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, June 5, reveal that Victor Newman will plot Kyle Abbott's downfall. Kyle rubbed the mustache the wrong way during Nikki Newman's birthday bash, and even the young man's $5 million deal, promising not to break Claire Newman's heart or he'll pay up, seemed off-putting to Victor. So what does he have planned to bring Kyle down, other than the scheme he has in motion with Audra Charles? Maybe this has to do with just that, placing additional pressure on the brunette to get the job done. Across town, Victoria Newman will be given some troubling news, so could this be about Cole Howard? Cole's health took a terrible turn during Nikki's party this week when he collapsed and found it hard to breathe during the event. It turned out that his illness has returned, but what exactly does he have, and could it be fatal? Finally, the Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday indicate that Laylee Winters will make a promise to her cousin, Nate Hastings. Could this have to do with his half-brother, Damian Kane? Damian is very interested in Lily, so Nate may be concerned about his cousin leading him on. Nate has grown close to Damian and realizes that he isn't a bad person. He just had some walls up. Nate might be worried about Damian's feelings getting crushed if Lily isn't interested in a romance. So will she relay that she just might be? What storyline are you most interested in seeing unfold during Thursday's show? Share your thoughts. Tune into the CBS Soap Daily so you don't miss a moment of the drama, and visit SOS often for the best Young and the Restless spoilers, updates, and news. In the park, Amy tells Audra and Nate She's more hopeful about the future, and it's all due to him. Nate tells her it's about her positive attitude too. Amy reveals she's come to a decision about her future. Audra hopes Amy is going to move there. Amy says yes, she'll relocate to Genoa City. Audra hugs her, thrilled. Nate couldn't be happier, for her and for them. Amy wants to be close to her son, and Audra tears up. Nate teases that his girlfriend is a big softie at heart. Audra marvels that Amy didn't even think she'd survive long enough to see her son again. It's a gift, Amy chokes up. She wants to spend time with her new friend and the man she considers her second son. They do a group hug. At the club, Damien tells Lily he fears he's about to lose his best friend. He's meeting Holden and has to tell him he's lost his job. Lily snarks that he should have told Dumas to do it himself. He reminds her Dumas didn't even fire him himself. Talk turns to Audra. Damien says Amy adores her. Lily asks what she can do to help where Holden is concerned. He hates to ask, but would they have a position at Winters for him? He feels responsible for Holden and wants to soften the blow. Lily feels partly responsible too. It was her idea to have him spy on Dumas, which probably got him fired. Damien should have known better with Dumas. He notes she didn't look thrilled about the idea of hiring Holden. Lily has to think about where he'd fit in and talk to Devin and Nate. But it shouldn't be a problem to put him in the hotel division with Damien. He thanks her profusely. Lily wonders how Holden will feel about him being his boss. Audra told her that Holden said Damien had a temper. Damien's never had anyone in his life to balance him out or talk him down. It would be nice to have that kind of person in his life. He looks at her real nice. Lily teases that she hopes Damien doesn't put that on his dating app. Damien hasn't been on one. He likes meeting people face to face. Lily agrees. She appreciates his honesty about his temper. He feels comfortable being open with her. Lily feels the same way. She asks why he's been single for so long. Damien chuckles. He likes that she's curious. Just then, Holden arrives. Lily leaves so they can talk. Holden sits and asks Damien if this is about work. Damien tells him Dumas fired them. Holden swears, "I was right. You did throw me under the bus, didn't you?" Damien protests that he fired them both. Holden thinks he took the fall for Damien's attempt to leave Dumas for Winters. Damien explains that he's hoping he can follow him to Winters. Holden grunts, "No thanks." He's ditched him and their friendship for some woman he barely knows. Damien reminds him of all the times he picked him up. Holden complains that he let him do his dirty work while he got the glory. It's time for them to make a clean break. At the tack house, Claire and Victoria fuss over Cole, who is coughing his brains out. Victoria coaxes him to keep his fluids up. She's worried about him. Nothing is making this flu better. Cole admits this is worse than before, as he coughs for an extended period. Claire and Victoria exchange a look. Victoria gets on the phone and then reports that the doctor has agreed to see Cole. He feels like he got hit by a truck. Victoria and Cole debate whether it's more than just a bug. Cole protests, but he can't even finish his sentence for coughing and groaning. The doctor arrives and Victoria and Claire run down Cole's symptoms as the doctor examines him. The doctor declares that Cole's lungs don't sound good. They'll need to get him to the hospital. Claire and Victoria are disturbed to learn it might be pneumonia. As the car is pulled around, Cole argues with Victoria, who wants to go to the hospital with him. Claire urges her father to listen to the doctors so he can get better. "I love you." Cole says, "I love you too, Claire. He's the luckiest man in the world." At the ranch, Victor answers his phone and says, "Send him in." Kyle enters and admits he's pleasantly surprised to have received an invitation. Victor warns him not to be so pleased until he's heard his response to his proposal. Kyle tells him he'll do anything to make Claire happy. Victor says he's willing to agree to his contract. Kyle's surprised. He expected bad news. Victor says the only bad news will be when he hurts his granddaughter. Kyle says it won't happen. Victor holds up a contract and says if he hurts Claire, he'll pay him $5 million and leave town. I'm impressed, Victor says, that you're willing to make that kind of commitment. Maybe I've been wrong about you all along. Kyle wants to send the contract by his guy. Victor guesses he wants to make sure there's an out. Kyle suddenly decides that he doesn't need to have it looked over. He asks why Victor hates him so much. Is it because he's Jack's son or some other reason? He wants to know because he loves Claire, but everything he says and does isn't good enough for him. Victor grunts, "Let's get going," so Kyle signs the contract. Victor reminds him if he breaks Claire's heart, he'll have to abide by it. They shake hands and Kyle exits. At the park, Nate tells Amy she can stay with him until she finds a new place to ship her things to. Audra would really miss her if she was gone. Amy agrees to the plan, and she and Audra decide to go for lunch. Lily appears, and they tell her Amy's moving to town. Lily's thrilled. Audra and Amy leave, and Nate asks Lily what she makes of Dumas' invitation. What does she think he's up to? Lily admits it threw her for a loop. Nate thinks it sounds sketchy. Lily wants to go to find out what he's up to. Nate thinks he's getting in her head, but understands. He'll hold down the fort. Lily's surprised he and Audra weren't invited, but she's not upset about Audra though. Nate thinks she'll one day see what he does. Lily's not so sure. Nate asks her to get a selfie with Dumas. He's dying to know who he is. Lily murmurs, "You and everybody else." Nate fishes to find out if she's met anyone yet. Grinning, she insists nothing has happened with her and Damien. Swerving, Lily says Damien's breaking the news to Holden this morning. He's wondering if there's a spot for him at Winters. Nate doesn't trust the guy. Lily points out he'd be doing it for Damien, and she feels responsible for getting them fired. Nate marvels that Dumas suddenly seems a hand in everything going on in this town. Lily says that's why they're going to France. Nate fears it could be a wild goose chase, but Lily asserts that failure isn't an option. Amy and Audra arrive at the club as Holden walks out on Damien. Audra steps away to take a call from Victor, who wants to see her now. She tries to reschedule, but he barks, "I said now." She tells Amy and Damien she has to go and trots out. Amy and Damien discuss Holden. Damien sees his point, and he feels responsible for the mess. He explains he's more like a brother than a friend. Holden was the only person he completely trusted. Amy is here for her son now. Damien tells her he'll have to handle this on his own. She still wants to help. Damien suggests they figure out a peace offering for Holden. Amy thinks the answer is in his heart. Audra shows up at the ranch and asks about the urgency of Victor's summons. Victor warns her when he asks for a meeting, she needs to just say yes. He complains that she hasn't done a damn thing to convince his granddaughter that Kyle's a bad guy. She says these things take time. Victor warns something better happen before he gets back from France. Audra muses about the top players in town getting invited to Dumas' summer home. She thinks getting Kyle out of town for a bit would help her plan. She asks Victor to make sure she and Kyle get invited to France. She'll take care of the rest. Kyle arrives at the tack house and Claire tells him her dad has gone to the hospital. The doctor thinks it might be pneumonia. They may have to admit him. Kyle's sure that Cole's a strong guy and will pull through just fine. They embrace. Claire tells Kyle how much she loves her dad. She can't fix his suffering or give him back the time he lost with her. Kyle assures her she's a great daughter now. Claire asks how his meeting went with Victor. He says it was fine. She just needs to focus on her dad. Audra finds Holden on the coffee house patio and notes his message sounded desperate. He appreciates her showing up and asks her to have a seat. She reluctantly does so. What's so urgent? Holden reminds her she said she'd be his friend. I could really use one right now. Audra knows he was fired and sympathizes. Holden complains that Damien used him to get what he wanted there, and then threw him away like trash. He didn't know who to call, but Audra's the only person who's ever gotten to know him. You can leave if you want." Audra reaches across the table and takes his hand. At the ranch, Victor looks at the Dumas invitation, thinks, and then throws it down on the table with disdain. The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates tease there's a question that we really need to ask: is Summer Newman returning home with a baby bump? Could there be a mystery surrounding who is the father of her child, or even who her lover was? Summer jetted off to Milan on a quest to find substitutes for Chelsea Lawson and Sally Spectra. There's been some buzz on the show regarding the charming Italian designer who's been chosen as Marchetti's new creative director. Phyllis Summers and Nick Newman have shown interest in Summer's developing romance with this individual. Summer might return home with this mysterious man's child, which adds an intriguing twist to the story. The show could certainly benefit from some baby-related drama, so a recast for Summer might eventually introduce a new pregnancy plotline. This could pave the way for Summer's Italian love interest to make his entrance in Genoa City as well. Certainly, the show has the potential to stir things up significantly if they decide to implement a rewrite or two. Imagine if Summer had a secret rendezvous with someone off-screen before her departure from town. The show could cleverly incorporate some fabricated flashbacks, creating the illusion that Summer had one last fling with Chance Chancellor. Perhaps Summer and Chance enjoyed a final night of intimacy just before they officially ended their relationship. This could have served as a poignant farewell for both characters. Additionally, there's the possibility of some hidden passion between Summer and Kyle Abbott, also known as Sex with the Ex, if the CBS soap chooses to explore that route. Rewrites often diverge from the earlier on-screen depictions, yet that's not a big issue as long as they introduce thrilling surprises. Regardless of the situation, it would surely add some excitement if the show decides to recast Summer and welcome her back home anticipating a baby. The twist of a pregnant Summer could lead to some fantastic developments, so keep an eye out for updates on the potential of this scenario becoming true. A Who's the Daddy storyline always generates interest, and if there's even more mystery surrounding the daddy, the better. The Young and the Restless spoilers indicate that Summer might be facing some significant news soon, so make sure to catch what's coming next on the CBS soap. It's been almost 4 years since viewers last saw Sean Kerrigan on The Young and the Restless. For those who don't recall, his character, Stitch, had been out of his head and finally revealed to his ex-wife Abby that he'd been the one who kidnapped Mariah, who at the time had been a surrogate and pregnant with Abby and Divon's child. Though he confessed Mariah's whereabouts, Stitch vanished and set out on the run. However, when it comes to the real world, Kerrigan revealed that he is about to become a father and shared that he and Jasmine Tempst are knocked up and expecting a baby girl, Susan Maxine Kerrigan, in August. The actor posted a series of adorable photos to announce the news, and in the first sported a pair of boxing gloves as his gal stood beside him with her hands on her baby bump. The second pic gave away the baby's gender, as did the fourth, and the third was a sweet shot of the couple with the family dog. A few of Kerrigan's former castmates rushed to the comments to send their congrats, including Brittany Sarpy, who shouted, "Yay!" Robert Adamson stated, "Aw man, congratulations brother, little fighter on the way. So happy for you dude," as General Hospital's Finola Hughes added, "Best news ever." The actor first teased the pregnancy back in January when he posted a pic of the couple captioned, "Mom and Dad." And since leaving the CBS soap behind, Kerrigan has turned up in primetime on such series as SWAT, All-American, Everyone is Doing Great, and NCIS, Hawaii. But he'll never forget his daytime role or Melissa Ordway, who he deemed the best TV wife ever. Victoria has a confession of her own. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Friday, June 6, finally remembered that Mariah came back from her trip all traumatized and could only say that she was a horrible person, but no more than that. Is it time for her to say more than that? Mariah left Genoa City as sane as a woman raised in a cult who then found out she'd been stolen from her biological mother. then was kidnapped while serving as a surrogate and giving birth with no anesthesia, and then had her mother kidnapped could be. She returned teary, nervous, and self-hating. Mariah told Sharon she'd done something horrible, and then she disappeared from our screens for weeks. Well, guess what? Mariah is back. Is she ready to tell all? To anyone? Victoria thought her life was back on track. She has an extra daughter. Her other 3 kids are presumably fine, some are off-screen, and she and Cole have reunited. Sure, her father is still her father, but she's kind of grown used to that. Everything was about to come up roses, except now Cole is sick, and Victoria might not get everything she wants. She confesses her fears about that to Nikki. Nikki assures her daughter that, no matter what happens, she'll be fine. They're rich. Billy canned Phyllis and decided to work with Sally. Phyllis lost her mind and decided to start ragging on them both. Phyllis keeps throwing bitchy barbs Sally's way, and Sally keeps ignoring her. Sally can do that. Billy can't. He thinks he needs to step in and protect Sally from Phyllis, which is ironic since he can't even protect himself. Newman brothers Nick and Adam could be swapping partners on why, and are lately. Things have been peaceful between Nick and Adam on The Young and the Restless. However, their brotherly truce might soon be broken, and a certain lady or ladies will be at the center of the latest Nick and Adam feud. Adam finally has happiness in his life. He and Chelsea have reunited and settled into their new home at the ranch with Connor. Meanwhile, Nick is still single, but spending time with his ex-wife Sharon. Although Nick put the kibosh on a reunion, his actions state otherwise. However, a new twist could have the Newman brothers involved in a love quadrangle with Sharon and Chelsea. Nikki's birthday bash foreshadowed a possible couples swap between Chatham and Schick. During Nick and Chelsea's conversation, he said that Adam didn't deserve her, but Nick wished Chelsea the best. Later, Adam voiced his concerns to Chelsea about Nick and Sharon getting back together. Chelsea then replied that Sharon would be a lucky woman to have a man like Nick. Their behavior indicates that a Nick/Sharon/Adam/Chelsea love quadrangle is in the future. With Chatham mixing their home and work lives together, drama is going to arise for the couple. It's a matter of time before Adam returns to the dark side. When that happens, Nick, being the hero he is, will be there to comfort Chelsea. Naturally, Nick's good deed will reawaken a chick romance. Nick and Chelsea reuniting will leave Adam angry and Sharon heartbroken. Sharon was optimistic she and Nick would get back together, but her hopes will be dashed. However, Sharon will take a chance on another ex when she and Adam find solace in each other. Spoilers of the upcoming episode of the CBS soap opera, The Young and the Restless, airing on June 6, 2025, hint at emotionally tense arguments and relationship struggles. As the week comes to a close, things in Genoa City are only heating up. Several characters will be caught up in drama that could affect both their personal lives and careers in major ways. In this episode, Billy Abbott will find himself stuck between 2 people who are arguing, while Mariah Copeland feels overwhelmed with guilt. At the same time, Victoria Newman will turn to someone close to her as she deals with a serious health concern. These stories are all building up to major decisions that could change their relationships for good. Phyllis Summers and Sally Spectra on The Young and the Restless have never gotten along, and things get even worse in this episode. Their ongoing rivalry heats up because of delays in the launch of Abbott Communications, which Phyllis blames on Sally. Phyllis makes fun of Sally's recent problems at work, and Sally snaps back, doubting if Phyllis has any real power, especially when it comes to getting into Aristotle Dumas' private party. With both women refusing to back down, their fight could turn public. Billy Abbott has been trying hard to keep things running smoothly at Abbott Communications while dealing with the big personalities around him. As the fight between Phyllis and Sally gets worse, Billy tries to step in and calm things down, but instead of helping, his efforts might make things even more tense. Billy will face a tough challenge as he tries to keep the team from falling apart. Victoria Newman on The Young and the Restless is worried as she waits for news about Cole Howard's health update. After seeing some scary symptoms recently, doctors are running tests like X-rays and lab work to find out what's wrong. Worried it might be pneumonia or something more serious, Victoria turns to her mom, Nikki Newman, for comfort. In their talk, Victoria shows a softer side and shares how much this situation is upsetting her. Mariah Copeland on The Young and the Restless is still upset about a mistake she made during her recent business trip, and it's starting to show. Tessa Porter notices that they are growing apart and encourages Mariah to be honest. But Maria is scared that telling the truth, whether it's about cheating or something else, might ruin their family. She feels stuck between feeling guilty and being afraid, and the more she stays silent, the bigger the gap between them grows. Tessa can tell that something is wrong and wants Mariah to be honest. Even though Mariah tries to look calm, it's clear she is struggling inside. Tessa is starting to lose patience as their trust starts to fade. Whether Maria tells the truth or keeps hiding, it will have significant effects. Their relationship is at a turning point, and tomorrow's episode might show the beginning of healing or heartbreak. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of June 9 suggest some twists and curveballs. Fans can expect Aristotle Dumas to surprise everyone at his upcoming party. What is wrong with Cole Howard? Plus, Nick Newman could face a sizzling temptation. But will it be with Sharon Newman or Phyllis Summers? Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Let's begin with Cole, who returned to Genoa City with a bad cough. Cole assumed he had the flu and isolated while resting. Cole thought he was better just in time for Nikki Newman's birthday bash. However, Cole had a coughing fit and had to go rest. Cole didn't want to go to the emergency room, but the next day, Claire Grace Newman told Kyle Abbott that her father was feeling even worse the next day. Victoria Newman will continue worrying about Cole. She might even push him to get additional testing done. Over with Mariah Copeland, she will be divided over what to do next. Will Mariah confess the truth to Tessa Porter or risk everything by being honest? Tessa already knows that something is up with Mariah, so the sooner she confesses, the better. Of course, the betrayal could send Tessa running into someone else's arms, too. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Victor Newman will continue putting pressure on Audra Charles. With Kyle wowing everyone, including Nikki, Victor wants him gone ASAP. However, there are signs that Audra and Kyle could land in tempting territory. Could Claire and Nate Hastings both get betrayed? Fans can also expect Nick to face a tempting situation. Nick invited Sharon to be his +1 at Dumas' party in Nice. However, Phyllis is desperate to get a face-to-face meeting with Dumas. I could see Phyllis pulling something so that she gets to go instead of Sharon. Meanwhile, Lily Winters could get a big shock when she learns of Dumas' true identity. Could this mysterious and elusive man actually be Kane Ashby? There is rumbling that Kane could be Billy Flynn's character, so stay tuned. The party is over, but the drama is heating up. For the Friday, June 6 episode of The Young and the Restless, spoilers photos show Victoria leaning on Nikki, Mariah leaning on Sharon, and Phyllis leaning into being her snarky self. Now that the party is over, it's back to basics for the Newman family. Victoria sits down with Nikki and Nick to open up about what's going on in her life. Will she tell them about her worries for Cole's health? He's on the decline and refusing medical help, which has Victoria on edge. She could use support right now, and who better to hold her hand through it all than her mother and brother? Also leaning on their mother is Mariah. She's in quite a state over that secret incident that happened while she was out of town. Will she finally admit what went down while she was in her drunken stupor? The weight of it all is on her shoulders, and she's having a hard time focusing. Will Sharon help her sort through this mess? At the same time, Tessa is in the park giving Daniel his weekly guitar lesson. The pair look like they're enjoying each other's company, maybe a little too much. By the time Mariah comes upon her wife, there is some serious tension in the air. Will Tessa playing her a song make it all better or push their problems to the forefront? Later, Daniel meets up with his mom at the club where she's stirring the pot with Billy and Sally. We know how much Red loves pushing all those buttons, especially when she gets under Sally's skin. Will Daniel get there in time to calm the waters before his mom says something that starts an all-out war? Is Genoa City in danger? Colv has been sick for weeks on The Young and the Restless, and on the June 5 episode, Victoria and Claire convinced him to go back to the hospital. The previous day, both Victor and Jack agreed on a single solitary thing. They didn't want Cole's sniffles inadvertently infecting people they actually care about. But what if that's exactly what this story is about? While the rest of the world battled the COVID-19 pandemic, like in Genoa City and all the other soaps too, went on as if the rest of us weren't wearing masks and social distancing and losing jobs and keeping kids out of school until they fell so far behind they still haven't caught up. That felt weird. Soaps, unlike other forms of media, were supposed to represent everyday lives of everyday people. And when they ignored COVID, they began to feel especially out of touch. So what if this is yours way of making up for that? What if Cole returned from England, specifically so that he could be patient zero of a new soap-based pandemic? Can you imagine Victor wandering around Genoa City, screaming that he's rich, which means he doesn't need to wear masks, and he can go wherever he wants? Thank you very much. You got that? Can you imagine Sharon, Nick, and Phyllis being forced to pod together, so that for months, all they see is each other? What about Claire being rushed to the hospital where tests reveal she isn't Cole and Victoria's, after all? The possibilities are endless, and we'll finally get to watch them suffer the way we all suffered for years. It's only fair.